Ever wondered how Earth actually came to be? Like, where did this whole planet start from just dust and rocks to the place we call home? Well, buckle up because we're about to rewind the clock billions of years and dive into the wild, fiery, and downright crazy story of how Earth was born. Chapter 1. It all started with a cloud. Long before the Earth, even before the Sun, there existed a giant cloud made of gas, dust, and cosmic leftovers from earlier stars that had exploded. This cloud was floating in deep space for a long time. Then something happened. Maybe a nearby star exploded, sending a shockwave that shook this cloud. That shockwave caused the cloud to collapse under its own gravity, spinning faster and faster, heating up at the center. That center became our Sun. And around it, small clumps of matter began sticking together, slowly growing into bigger and bigger objects. One of those clumps would eventually become Earth. Chapter 2. Baby Earth was a fiery mess. But the early Earth wasn't anything like what we see today. It was just a ball of molten rock, constantly under attack. Meteors, asteroids, space debris, everything was crashing into it, making it hotter and hotter. Inside this chaos, something important was happening. Heavy metals like iron sank toward the center, while lighter materials floated to the surface. That's how Earth's structure formed: the iron core at the center, the mantle in the middle, and a thin crust on the outside. No oceans, no sky, just heat, lava, and endless destruction. Chapter 3. The collision that changed everything. And just when you thought things couldn't get crazier, they did. A planet-sized object, roughly the size of Mars, slammed into Earth. Scientists call it Theia. The impact was so violent, it nearly shattered Earth apart. But instead, something amazing happened. A huge chunk of Earth broke off and started orbiting around us. That chunk became the Moon. This wasn't just about creating the Moon, it also tilted Earth's axis, which gave us seasons and a more stable climate over millions of years. So yeah, without that epic collision, Earth as we know it might never have existed. Chapter 4. Cooling down and crust up. After all the fire and fury, Earth finally started to cool down. A solid crust formed over the molten interior. Volcanoes were everywhere, constantly erupting and spewing gases into the sky. There was no breathable oxygen yet, but gases like carbon dioxide, water vapor, and nitrogen started building an early atmosphere. Thick, hot, and toxic, but it was the first step toward making Earth livable. Chapter 5. The first rains and oceans. Earth had finally started cooling down. The fiery surface was turning into solid ground, and the volcanoes, though still active, weren't as violent as before. But now came the next big transformation: water. All that steam released by volcanoes had built up thick, heavy clouds in the sky. And then, one day, it started to rain. And it didn't stop. It rained not for hours, not for days, but for thousands of years. This was no ordinary rain. It was a global, non-stop downpour. The sky was filled with thunder, lightning, and black clouds that covered the entire planet. And slowly, those ancient craters, cracks, and low-lying areas began to fill up. Earth's first oceans were born. But these oceans weren't the calm blue seas we know today. They were rough, dark, acidic, and full of minerals. The atmosphere still didn't have oxygen, so there was no life yet. But this salty soup of chemicals and energy was the perfect place for something incredible to happen. Chapter 6. The first spark of life. Somewhere in those hot, mineral-rich oceans, life began. Scientists still debate how exactly it happened. Some believe it started near underwater hydrothermal vent cracks in the ocean floor that released superheated gases. Others think life may have come from space, carried by a comet or meteorite. But one thing's clear: simple molecules began combining and organizing themselves into more complex forms. Eventually, they created something that could reproduce something alive. These were the first single-celled organisms, called prokaryotes. They didn't need oxygen. They just absorbed nutrients from their surroundings and multiplied. They were tiny, but they were powerful, because over time, these little cells started to evolve. Chapter 7: A Planet That Keeps Evolving. With oxygen filling the skies, Earth entered a new phase. A biosphere began to take shape. Tiny organisms teamed up to become multicellular life, something that had never existed before. These new forms were bigger, more complex, and better at surviving. Some developed tails to swim. Others had sensors to detect light or food. Life diversified quickly, leading to the first animals. Around 541 million years ago, a period known as the Cambrian explosion occurred, an evolutionary burst where almost all major animal groups appeared. The oceans became full of creatures, jellyfish, worms, trilobites, and more. Then came plants. Then fish with backbones. Then creatures that crawled out of the oceans and learned to survive on land. Meanwhile, Earth itself kept changing. The continents were moving, crashing, breaking apart, and rejoining. Supercontinents like Pangaea formed and broke apart again. Sometimes Earth was warm and tropical. Other times, it froze over completely. These were the ice ages when glaciers covered most of the planet. Life had to constantly adapt, evolve, or die out. In fact, Earth has seen at least 5 mass extinctions. The most famous one, the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs around 66 million years ago. But after every fall came a comeback. And after the dinosaurs disappeared, mammals began to rise. One branch of those mammals kept evolving. Walking upright, using tools, making fire, and eventually building civilizations. That branch was us. Chapter 8: Earth Today and Tomorrow. Today, Earth is a masterpiece alive with life, water, air, weather, and wonder. But it's still changing. The continents are still drifting. Volcanoes still erupt. Climate still shifts. And now, humans are a big part of that change. We've reshaped the landscape, altered the atmosphere, and even begun looking for life beyond Earth. So the story isn't over. In fact, the next chapter of Earth's story might be written by us. From a cloud of space dust to the incredible world we live in today, Earth's story is one of chaos, creation, and constant transformation. And the most amazing part, you and I are a part of that story. We're made of the same elements that once floated through space 4.6 billion years ago. So the next time you look at the stars or walk barefoot on grass, just remember, you're standing on a miracle, a cosmic accident, a planet that defied the odds. Outro. If you found this story fascinating, hit the like button and subscribe. There are so many more secrets hiding in the history of our universe, and we'd love to explore them with you. Tell us in the comments which part of Earth's origin amazed you the most. And until next time, stay curious.